So when we didn't have a house and we were struggling and we were staying on rent in other places, and we had promised each other one thing that, you know, जिस दिन हमारा घर होगा, the day we have our own home, we will buy a little tea set, okay, and we will have our own table for two. My favorite early morning go-to food used to be either pav maska with chai from Olympia, this restaurant, and keema pav. So I would be running from class to class, consoling the kids who were crying and saying, "Don't worry, your mummy will come in the evening."
Joining us on Mumbai Meri Jaan, we have the popular reality show judge and choreographer, of course, Geeta Kapur.
Thank you for having me.
And she's here to talk about Mumbai. So, all your favorites.
I am a Mumbai girl, born, brought up, surviving still, and would love to retire just here.
So, what are your earliest memories of the city? It has changed quite a bit, of course.
Earliest memory, because I was a Colaba girl, I was born and brought up in Colaba. My earliest memories are the beautiful big double-decker buses. It has a beautiful parish over there called Holy Name Cathedral, which was our parish. My school, St. Anne's High School, Regal Cinema was our place to go to. So I remember Regal, I remember the fountain there, I remember there were so many things like the big Parsi Bagh or Kushru Bagh. Kailash Parbat was our first interactive place to go to in Colaba. So a lot of memories. My favorite early morning go-to food used to be either pav maska with chai, not bun maska, pav maska from Olympia, this restaurant, and keema pav to die for, and Leopold's chicken sandwich.
And town, of course, has a lot of Parsi bakeries. So, were you like a regular there also?
I was a Kayani fan. So, like every Christmas, every New Year, and every Good Friday, my mom used to take me to Kayani's. Maybe some occasions where, you know, birthdays or whatever. And we would get like these really nice cream puffs over there. That was my favorite. And of course the food. So we recently went there for one of the Christmases, and we kind of, even for her first anniversary, we kind of went there to relive. Wow. Yeah. And the food is still the same. Yeah. And the ambience is still the same. And those Irani chairs are still there. And the chai is as wonderful. The food is fab.
Yeah, Kayani is like an eternal favorite. And memories from school. So were you like the talkative girl or the quiet girl in school?
I was called Paper Rabbit apparently in my nursery and KG. So they used to tell my mom, your daughter's like a paper rabbit. So she was like, why? Because she's like, she doesn't sit in a single place. So I would be running from class to class, consoling the kids who were crying and saying, don't worry, your mummy will come in the evening.
From then you were mom.
That's what my mom used to say. I have no memory of this. But since everyone used to discuss with her and say कि तेरी बेटी रोती थी क्या when you know she used to go to, she's like, my child was more happy to go to school than anything else, and she would be like consoling all the other children, don't worry, your mummy will come, it's okay.
So since then you were destined to be Geeta.
I have no clue, probably. I wish someone had tapped into it then.
And of course, we have to ask you about your favorite dance studio, especially where you have done all these iconic songs.
Satyam Hall, Mangala Hall. There were two halls, but Satyam Hall was my first hall that I stepped into to know the meaning of a hall with a mirror. My first meeting over there with a choreographer was with Sarojji, where my mom, we had gone for an audition there. So my mom took me, she said, there's this big dance guru, her name is Sarojji, and we are going to meet her. So I just went, and my mother said that this is my daughter, and would you ever have the time to teach? And then we would love to have her enrolled in it. And Sarojji said, मेरे पास वक्त नहीं है क्योंकि मैं बहुत busy हूँ. And I got rejected for the first time as a dancer. Glad she did that though. May her soul rest in peace.
Today when you want to hang out, so which are the spots that you look forward to?
Oh, haven't been to town in very long, but if I have to hang out, so I love Haji Ali ka Sitafal cream. Haji Ali Cream Center. Love. But if I have to go time and again to a certain place, then my friend Rick and me go to Taj Tea House in Bandra.
Rick Roy.
Rick Roy. We go to Taj Tea House. That used to be our favorite hangout, Pali Village Cafe, or we would go to Saltwater Cafe. So we are people who go in for like a quick coffee, but we are there for like hours. We just like chill. We meet at about 11 for brunch type. But that brunch will go on till like 8:39 in the evening. Otherwise, my late night hangout would be Novotel, because that's the only place that will give me dal chawal, which is my favorite food. Any time of the day, anywhere, if I'm hungry, that will be the staple food. If I get, I don't want anything else. Dal, chawal, and kurkure bhindi.
Oh, okay.
Love.
And I'm sure you have, since you are a Mumbai girl anyways, so I'm sure you have a lot of memories, like places which bring back a lot of memories. Like when you go there, you just get so nostalgic.
Especially in town, because I've spent so much time there. Like when you're passing VT, you're thinking about all the days when you or Churchgate, you're thinking of all the days when you traveled by train. It's unreal, but it's like now I've not been in a train for I don't know how long. A lot of early memories also are around whenever I only get nostalgic when I pass my school. And Famous Studio. Famous Studio in Tardeo makes me extremely nostalgic because that's where we filmed Dance India Dance. So all 3 seasons were filmed there. Like I had a room there for all those years, and we used to not go home for days because we were also choreographing and mentoring the children at the same time. So for me, that is very nostalgic because I used to sleep in my car outside. So because if I went home, although if I came back to Andheri, then to go back to Famous would have been a problem. And I feel nostalgic because I haven't been to a hall that we rehearsed all those years, and a hall that has stood by me really strongly through my my most trying period or trying phase with Dance India Dance was a hall that was in Andheri. It's called Sharik Hall. Okay. Sharik Hall gave me all the amenities that I wouldn't have had. Like gave me permissions, like when we wanted to attempt aerial acts and when my team used to come up with these brilliant ideas, but there was no space and no hall that we could afford because I was paying for all of that through whatever I was getting. Oh. So that hall makes me very nostalgic because Sharik gave me permissions to kind of put up iron structures to hold the props, to practice on it on the terrace, gave me full freedom to use the space. So very grateful to all these people, you know. So when I pass that hall now, I'm like, yaar, hum logon ne bahut time bitaya hai is hall pe.
No, for sure, and that hard work shows today also. The results just show. And of course, we also have to ask you about your first home that you bought yourself. So do you remember, because it's a big deal for Mumbai especially?
Always a big deal because I stayed in a 10 by 10 all my life in Colaba. There was nothing to brag, boast, but at that point in time, it was all that we could afford and it was more than enough. Yeah. It's amazing how that much space looked big and it looked wonderful. And अब हम देख के बोलते हैं कि बड़ा cramped space है 10 by 10. But I bought my first home in Lokhandwala. We were on rent on that place and then eventually ended up buying it. Yeah. And that house still, I do own that house still. I wouldn't ever want to sell it or I wouldn't want to part with it, ever. It has a lot of good memories. That was my first roof over my head. And I realized that when you have a roof, it doesn't matter what you wear, what you eat, what you drink, as long as you have that, that is yours. What you do inside it is nobody's concern.
True, absolutely true. And because we know how close you were and still are to your mom, so any memory in the city with her that is really precious to you?
Oh, she and I used to go in Colaba. There used to be this little restaurant that we used to go for either a cup of tea or any time after school. She was like, would you like to go for table for two? So we had named it table for two because we used to only be the two of us who used to go and spend time, like catch up on the day. So when we didn't have a house and we were struggling and we were staying on rent in other places, and we had promised each other one thing that, you know, जिस दिन हमारा घर होगा, the day we have our own home, we will buy a little tea set, okay, and we will have our own table for two, which we did eventually, and I still have the tea set. and it's still there. And yeah, so we bought our first table together. We said like, now we'll do table for two, and then we made like a cup of tea and then we poured it. We felt like this was like a big deal. It doesn't sound great right now, but it is a great memory for me. Most precious memory with her is how she used to motivate me to read. So every time her thing was, because I loved Nancy Drews. So I like all kind of detective novels now, I think, because of that. So it used to be expensive, not very fruitful to kind of spend that kind of money at that point. But she would be like, if you work hard and if you do well in this test, I'll get you a book. If you do well in this exam, I'll get you a book. So that's how she bought me the entire collection.
Wow. Okay.
Barring, I think, 3 or 4 books in the Nancy Drew collection, but I have the books till date.
That's beautiful, for sure.
So she used to say कि मत मेरे को देखो दुकान में जाके मेरे को embarrass मत करना. Don't be sitting on the floor crying and banging your head on things and banging, like don't do tantrums. मम्मी के पास जब पैसे होंगे तो वो लेके दे देगी. It was a great way of kind of also keeping the child in check and not overspending on giving in to everything that the child was asking, I guess. So.
And it was lovely hearing your memories, and thank you for coming all the way to the midday office. Lovely having you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.